Have you ever sat in a salon chair and wondered what's actually happening to your hair when you get a perm or a keratin treatment? I mean, 1 minute it's one way, and a few hours later it's completely different. Well, the science behind it is pretty fascinating, so let's dive in and see what's really going on.
So, that's the big question, right? How can some liquids and a bit of heat permanently change the very structure of our hair? It really feels like it should be magic, but nope, it's pure chemistry, happening at a level that's way too small for us to see.
And you know the wildest part? The entire secret to this whole transformation is actually packed into just one single sentence. Everything we need to know is right here.
Okay, here it is. These treatments act precisely on these bonds, breaking and reforming them. Those two words right there, that's the whole ballgame. Breaking and then reforming. That is literally the entire process in a nutshell.
So that quote just mentioned bonds. To really get what's happening, we've got to understand what these bonds even are. What's their deal, and what do they do? Well, these bonds are basically the internal scaffolding inside every single strand of hair. They're the protein structure that dictates your hair's natural shape, whether it grows out straight, a little wavy, or super curly. They're like an invisible blueprint for your hair.
Here's a really great way to picture this. Imagine a single strand of hair is like a ladder. The two long sides are the main protein chains. And these bonds we're talking about, they're the rungs connecting those sides, holding the whole structure together and giving it its shape.
All right, so now that we've got that ladder image in our heads, we can move on to the very first step of the process. And that is, you guessed it, breaking the bonds. This is where the chemicals in the perm or straightening treatment come into play. Their one job is to get in there and dissolve those rungs on our hair ladder. They literally break apart the bonds holding your hair in its natural shape. This makes it kind of limp and shapeless, ready to be molded into something new. So once those bonds are broken and the old structure is gone, the really transformative part can begin. This is phase 2, reforming that structure. With the old ladder rungs out of the way, the hair is now physically put into its new shape. Maybe it's wrapped around curlers for a perm or flattened with a straightener. Then a second chemical, the neutralizer, is applied. Its job is to go in and rebuild all those rungs, but this time locking them into their new position, making the new shape permanent.
So what's the end result of this whole two-step dance of breaking and rebuilding? Well, it's nothing less than a complete architectural overhaul of your hair, all happening on a microscopic level.
Let's look at it as a simple before and after. Before the treatment, the bonds are all locked into their original natural setup. But after, those exact same bonds have been taken apart and then reassembled into a completely new structure. And that's what gives you that brand new hair texture.
So really, the most important thing to take away from all this is that changing your hair's shape isn't magic. And it's not just some coating they put on top. It is a fundamental architectural redesign of your hair. You're literally telling each strand to rebuild itself in a different way. Pretty amazing, right?
So I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you see someone with perfectly straight hair or incredibly bouncy curls, will you just see a hairstyle? Or will you now see the invisible, microscopic architecture that was carefully broken and then reformed just to make it all possible?